Amara woke up earlier than usual. A brilliant golden ray of sunlight streamed through the curtains, illuminating her small but tidy room. She stood in front of the mirror, looking at herself in an elegant navy blue dress. Today was special. She had an important meeting to discuss funding for the nonprofit organization she worked for. Amara knew that appearances played a crucial role in making a good impression at such meetings. While the dress she wore was appropriate, it didn't quite exude the confidence she needed. So, she decided to head downtown, where upscale fashion boutiques offered the perfect attire for her occasion. As she entered one of the stores, Amara was immediately captivated by the luxurious ambience. Dresses were displayed like works of art, with sparkling lights accentuating the intricate details of the premium fabrics. She felt a twinge of nervousness but reminded herself that she had every right to be there, just like anyone else. However, Amara's presence quickly drew the attention of Rachel, the store manager. Rachel, a blonde woman dressed impeccably and known for maintaining the prestige of the store, couldn't hide her discomfort. Her judgmental gaze lingered on Amara's natural curly hair and radiant brown skin, as though it disrupted the store's polished image. Amara smiled and approached the reception desk. "Good morning. I'd like to try on some dresses from your new collection," she said, her tone calm and polite. Rachel gave her a quick once-over, a faint smirk playing on her lips. "Our store caters to regular clients, those with VIP accounts. I don't think this is the right place for you," Rachel replied, her voice dripping with condescension. Amara froze, feeling the heat rise to her face. But instead of letting anger take over, she calmly explained, "I've looked through the collection on your website and was very impressed. I'm confident I can afford to shop here." Rachel shrugged, her expression laced with disdain. "You might not realize it, but these outfits aren't exactly suitable for people like you." Rachel's words cut through Amara's pride like a sharp blade. Yet, Amara stood her ground, her gaze unwavering. "I don't believe customers should be judged by their skin color or background," she replied, her voice firm and resolute. Rachel stepped out from behind the counter, her footsteps echoing through the quiet boutique as she approached Amara. "Let me make this clear for you," Rachel said, her voice low but laced with menace. "We don't want people like you tarnishing the image of this store. So, I'm asking you to leave immediately." Other customers in the store began to take notice. Some stood silent, unwilling to intervene. A few cast sympathetic glances at Amara, but no one dared to speak up. Amara felt a lump form in her throat, but she refused to let the tears fall. Taking a deep breath, she steadied herself. "You're violating anti-discrimination laws," she said firmly. "I have the right to be served just like anyone else." Rachel let out a cold, mocking laugh. "Are you going to sue me? Go ahead. But before you get the chance, leave my store." Amara's heart sank. She glanced around, hoping someone might speak up, but all she received was silence. With a deep sense of sadness, she turned and walked out of the store, leaving Rachel's smug, satisfied expression behind her. Amara walked along the bustling street, feeling an emptiness in her heart. She couldn't understand why she had to endure such humiliation simply because of the color of her skin. Swallowing her sorrow, she reminded herself not to let this incident affect the important meeting she had coming up. Meanwhile, inside the store, James, a distinguished middle-aged man in a perfectly tailored suit, approached Rachel. He had witnessed the entire incident and couldn't hide his disappointment. "Rachel, I need to speak with you," he said, his voice calm yet authoritative. Rachel, recognizing who James was, quickly changed her demeanor. "Oh, Mr. James, I didn't realize you were here. Is there something I can assist you with?" James looked her directly in the eye. "It seems we need to discuss how you treat our customers." Rachel faltered, trying to justify herself. "I was just protecting the store's image. You see, people like her usually aren't actual customers." James remained silent for a moment, then gave a slight nod. "Thank you for your honesty. I'll take that into consideration." Rachel felt a sense of relief, thinking James agreed with her. But what she didn't know was that her employer had a very different plan in mind. Amara returned home, but the anger and pain lingered. She opened her laptop and began to write about her experience. Words poured out like a torrent, each sentence carrying the weight of the injustice she had just endured. She shared her story on social media, emphasizing that discrimination is not only wrong but deeply hurtful. Within hours, Amara's post went viral. Hundreds, then thousands of people shared her story. Hashtags like #EndRacism and #JusticeForAmara began trending. Some even called for a boycott of the store. Meanwhile, James was deep in thought. He knew he needed to act, not just for the store's reputation but for his own conscience. He decided to reach out to Amara to hear her side of the story directly. But he didn't just want to apologize, he was determined to make things right in a meaningful way. That evening, James sat in his office at the company headquarters, his eyes fixed on his computer screen. He read and reread Amara's post, each word hitting him like a powerful wake-up call. Beneath the post, thousands of comments expressed outrage at the discrimination Amara had endured. Many shared similar experiences, turning her post into a rallying point for the community to speak out against injustice. James owned a chain of high-end fashion boutiques across the country. To him, reputation and integrity had always been paramount. But witnessing Rachel's behavior made him realize that not everyone he trusted could uphold the values he wanted his brand to represent. After some reflection, James decided to review Rachel's records. He discovered that this wasn't the first time she had been reported for discriminatory behavior. Previously, Rachel had been accused of bias against an Asian employee, but the matter had been handled internally without significant consequences. James felt a deep sense of disappointment in himself for not taking more decisive action back then. Determined to make things right, James immediately reached out to Amara using the contact information he found in her customer records. He wanted to meet her in person to hear her story directly and to find the most just and meaningful way to address the situation. The next morning, Amara's phone buzzed as she was preparing materials for her meeting. Seeing an unknown number, she hesitated for a moment but decided to answer. A warm, deep voice came through the line. "Hello, Ms. Amara. This is James, the owner of the boutique chain where you had an issue yesterday. I'm calling to apologize and to ask if I might meet with you in person." Amara was surprised but could sense the sincerity in his tone. After a brief pause to consider, she agreed to meet James at a small cafe near her home. When they met, Amara recounted the entire incident in vivid detail, from Rachel's disdainful looks to the hurtful words she endured. James listened attentively, saying nothing but nodding occasionally to acknowledge her words. When she finished, he spoke. "I'm deeply sorry that you had to go through this. I want not only to apologize but to correct this wrong. I believe we can do more to bring about change, not just for the store but for the community." Amara looked at him skeptically. "How do you plan to fix this?" "I'm not interested in hollow apologies. What I want is real change." James smiled. "Exactly. That's why I want you to help me. Would you be willing to?" James didn't just want to apologize, he made a bold proposal. "Amara, I've given this a lot of thought. That store isn't just one branch in my chain. It's a symbol of the values we aim to uphold: diversity and equality. But if managers like Rachel undermine those values, I need someone capable of transforming it. I want you to become the new owner of the store." Amara was stunned, unable to believe what she was hearing. "What did you say? I don't understand. How could I possibly run a store like that? I don't have any experience in fashion." James smiled softly. "You have something more important than experience: heart and determination. I believe you can turn that store into a true symbol of diversity. I'll assist you in the initial stages, but I want you to take charge." Amara was silent for a long time. She wasn't sure if this was an opportunity to change her life or a challenge too great for her to handle. But thinking about everything she'd endured, she knew she couldn't let this chance slip away. "All right, I'll do it. But I have one condition." James tilted his head, intrigued. What condition? Rachel must be held accountable for her actions. I don't want her to just be fired and have it end there. I want her to understand that what she did is unacceptable. James nodded in agreement. I respect that. Within just a few days, the transfer of ownership was finalized. Amara officially became the new owner of the luxury fashion boutique where she had once been humiliated. The media quickly picked up on the story, making Amara the center of attention. Some newspapers called her the brave woman changing the game, while social media was flooded with messages of congratulations and encouragement. However, not everyone was supportive. Some regular customers of the store expressed doubts about Amara's capabilities, and a few employees were unhappy with the sudden change. Rachel, who had been fired, took to social media to justify her actions, but her words only fueled public outrage. Amara began her new role with no shortage of challenges. She had to learn how to manage the store, oversee the staff, and work with customers, all while facing skepticism from those around her. But whenever she felt overwhelmed, she reminded herself why she was doing this. She wanted to transform the store into a place where anyone, regardless of their skin color or background, would feel welcome. Amara held her first meeting with the entire staff. I know some of you don't trust me, she began, her voice strong yet sincere. But I'm not here just to run a store. I'm here to ensure that we never repeat the mistakes of the past. If anyone is willing to work with me, we can turn this place into something truly special. Her words left a strong impression. Some employees began to shift their attitudes, while others remained distant. But Amara knew that all meaningful change takes time. Amara walked into the store on her first morning as the new owner. The atmosphere felt markedly different from the last time she had been there. Some employees whispered among themselves, their glances filled with skepticism. A few didn't even bother to hide their dissatisfaction. But Amara didn't let it discourage her. She knew that changing the culture of an organization wasn't something that could be achieved overnight. The first thing Amara did was organize a meeting with the entire staff. Standing in front of them, her eyes filled with determination, she spoke in a calm and sincere tone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amara, and I'm the new owner of this store. I understand that this change might feel unexpected or even uncomfortable for some of you. But let me make one thing clear. I'm not here to tear down what's already in place. I'm here to build an environment where everyone, employees and customers alike, feels respected and treated fairly. The room fell silent. Some looked at her with surprise, while others maintained a distant, indifferent attitude. Amara continued, I want to hear from you. If you have any ideas, concerns, or even complaints, please come to me. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to find solutions. After the meeting, Amara began her gradual reforms. She introduced diversity and inclusion training for all staff, inviting external experts to conduct workshops. She also established an anonymous suggestion box, encouraging employees to share their thoughts without fear of retribution. Every day, Amara made time to speak individually with employees. She listened to them talk about their work, their challenges, and their aspirations. At first, many were hesitant, but her sincerity and patience gradually encouraged them to open up. As Amara worked to rebuild the store, Rachel faced a harsh reality. After being fired, she tried applying for jobs at other fashion boutiques. But her reputation had spread throughout the industry. No one wanted to hire a manager accused of discriminatory behavior, especially when the incident had become a widely discussed topic on social media. Rachel felt angry and betrayed. She saw herself as a victim of circumstance, convinced that Amara had stolen her position. But over time, as her anger subsided, Rachel began to realize that her own actions were the root cause of her current situation. She felt regret but didn't know how to make amends. One day, Rachel decided to reach out to Amara. She wasn't sure if Amara would be willing to forgive her, but she knew she had to confront her mistakes to move forward. Rachel sent a brief but heartfelt email. Amara, I know what I did was wrong. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want to apologize for the harm I caused. If you're willing, I'd like to meet and talk." Amara received the email on a busy evening. She read it multiple times, torn between the urge to refuse and the pull to hear Rachel out. In the end, she decided to meet with her. Amara and Rachel met at a small cafe where no one knew who they were. Rachel looked thinner and visibly tired, her eyes reflecting deep regret. Amara, in contrast, arrived with an air of confidence but remained cautious. "Thank you for coming," Rachel began, her voice soft and hesitant. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I truly want to apologize. I didn't just hurt you. I also betrayed the values the store was supposed to represent." Amara remained silent for a moment, her calm gaze fixed on Rachel. "I won't say that what you did was acceptable. Your words that day deeply hurt me, but I also believe people can change if they genuinely want to." Rachel nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I've lost everything, Amara, but what I truly regret is not recognizing my mistakes sooner. Do you have any advice for me? I really want to make things right." Amara paused to think before responding. "Start by learning about what you didn't understand. Learn to empathize with the people you once judged. And if you truly want to make amends, use your story to help others avoid making the same mistakes." Rachel thanked Amara and left the cafe feeling lighter. Though she knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, she was determined to start over. Meanwhile, at the store, Amara began to see the first results of her efforts. Sales were starting to climb as customers noticed the change in service. Some of the store's former patrons returned, sharing how much more comfortable they felt shopping there now. Amara also received support from the community. Several nonprofit organizations and prominent fashion designers expressed interest in collaborating with her to host events promoting diversity in the fashion industry. One of the first events Amara organized was a fashion show featuring models of all ethnicities, ages, and body types. The event not only garnered media attention but also became a symbol of the change Amara was striving to create. However, Amara knew she couldn't rest on her laurels. "Initial success doesn't mean we're done," she said during a staff meeting. "We need to keep improving and upholding the values we're building together." Her words inspired the staff. Many who had once doubted Amara now began to support her wholeheartedly. One employee said, "You're not just changing the store, you're changing how we see ourselves." "Thank you, Amara." Amara smiled, feeling that her efforts were beginning to pay off. But she also knew the journey was far from over, and she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Amara sat in the small office at the back of the store, gazing at the planning board on the wall. She felt proud of the changes she had made but knew there was still much to do. Recently, she had come to a crucial realization. True change wasn't just about policies and procedures but also about how people perceived and treated one another. One day, she decided to organize a special meeting with her staff. Instead of focusing solely on work, she invited a few loyal customers to share their personal stories. These stories weren't just about their shopping experiences but also about their lives, the challenges they had faced, and the prejudices they had encountered. The meeting turned out to be far more emotional than Amara had anticipated. An elderly customer, Mrs. Linda, shared that for the first time in her life, she felt welcomed in a luxury boutique after Amara became the owner. "I used to think places like this weren't meant for people like me," she said, her voice breaking. "But now, I feel truly valued." Mrs. Linda's words gave many staff members pause. Some began to reflect on how their past attitudes might have made customers feel unwelcome. Honest confessions emerged, and a few employees even apologized to Amara for doubting her capabilities when she first took over. Amara concluded the meeting with a powerful statement. "I don't expect everyone to change overnight, but I believe we can change little by little. The key is being willing to listen and learn." After the meeting, the atmosphere in the store shifted to a more positive and collaborative one. The employees started working with a renewed sense of unity, and this quickly reflected in the improved experiences of their customers. As time passed, Amara's efforts began to bear fruit. The store's revenue increased significantly, and many longtime customers who had left returned. They were not only drawn to the luxury products, but also to the warm and genuine service that Amara and her team had cultivated. One day, Amara received an invitation to speak at a major fashion industry conference, where she would have the opportunity to share her story with top leaders and experts. It was an incredible opportunity, but it also came with immense pressure. She knew her story could inspire others, but she also wanted to use the platform to emphasize the importance of diversity and equity in the industry. At the conference, Amara stepped onto the stage, feeling a twinge of nervousness as she looked out at the hundreds of faces waiting to hear her speak. But as she began to share her story, her confidence grew. She spoke about the challenges she had faced, the discrimination she had endured, and how she turned those experiences into a drive for change. Fashion is not just about clothing, Amara said in the closing moments of her speech. Fashion is how we express ourselves. It's how we communicate with the world. And if fashion doesn't welcome everyone, then we've failed. Amara's speech was met with extended applause. Many attendees approached her afterward to express their admiration and eagerness to learn from her story. Amara realized that she wasn't just transforming one store, she was making a broader impact on the industry. Meanwhile, Rachel was still on her journey to rediscover herself. After her meeting with Amara, she began seriously reflecting on what she needed to do to make amends. She decided to enroll in a course on social equity and volunteered at a nonprofit organization that supported victims of discrimination. At first, Rachel felt out of place. She wasn't used to working alongside people she had once unfairly judged. But over time, she began to understand that it was direct exposure to real stories that was driving her transformation. She realized her prejudices weren't innate but were shaped by a society that had taught her to see the world through a distorted lens. One day, Rachel received an invitation from a nonprofit organization to serve as a mentor for a program aimed at raising awareness about equality in the fashion industry. She hesitated but eventually accepted, viewing it as an opportunity to use her story as a lesson for others. At her first discussion event, Rachel stood in front of an audience and shared her mistakes and her journey toward redemption. "I'm not here to justify what I've done," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I'm here to say that change is possible, but it starts with acknowledging our own wrongs." Rachel's words moved many in the audience. Several people approached her afterward, sharing that her story had made them reflect on their own attitudes. Rachel felt that she had finally found a path to make amends for her past mistakes. Back at the store, Amara was preparing for a major event, the one-year anniversary of her becoming the owner. This celebration was not only a moment to reflect on achievements, but also an opportunity to thank those who had supported her throughout the journey. The event was held at the store, with customers, employees, and Amara's supporters in attendance. The space was beautifully decorated with sparkling lights and soft music. A small stage was set up where Amara would deliver her gratitude speech. Standing before the crowd, Amara felt a lump in her throat. "A year ago, I couldn't have imagined myself standing here in this role," she began. "But today, I'm not just someone running a store. I'm a part of this community, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to do something meaningful." Amara concluded her speech to enthusiastic applause. In the crowd, Rachel stood quietly, feeling a gentle sense of joy as she witnessed Amara's success. She understood that while her own journey was far from over, seeing Amara thrive was, in a way, part of her redemption. The evening ended with a small gathering where everyone laughed, shared stories, and celebrated together. Amara's heart was filled with hope. She knew challenges still lay ahead, but she also knew she had built a strong foundation to continue her journey. After the one-year anniversary celebration, Amara decided to expand the store's impact by connecting more deeply with the community. She organized a series of charity events aimed at supporting minority groups and those in need. Amara believed that the store was not just a place of business but also a part of society, a platform for creating positive change. One of the first events she hosted was Fashion for the Community, a collaboration with young designers from diverse backgrounds. The collections showcased were not only beautiful but also carried powerful messages of diversity and inclusion. The fashion show took place right at the store, attended by customers, local residents, and even notable figures from the fashion industry. The atmosphere was electric, with stage lights illuminating models walking confidently, regardless of their body type, skin color, or background. Standing backstage, Amara felt her heart swell with pride. This wasn't just a fashion event, it was a statement, a declaration that everyone deserved to shine. The community responded enthusiastically. Customers didn't just come to shop, they began to see Amara's store as a symbol of positive change. Some proposed partnerships to organize more events, while journalists continued to write about her inspiring story. While Amara was achieving new milestones, Rachel continued on her journey of redemption. Her work at the nonprofit organization transformed her perspective on life. She spent much of her time talking with people who had faced discrimination, listening to their stories, and deeply empathizing with the pain they had endured. One day, Rachel received an invitation from a school to share her story with students. At first, she felt nervous. She feared being judged, but she also understood that this was an opportunity to do something meaningful. During her talk, Rachel recounted her entire journey, from her initial mistakes to the lessons she had learned and the changes she had made. "I used to think that my success meant I was right," she said, "but I was wrong. True success isn't about the position you hold. It's about how you treat the people around you." Rachel's story resonated deeply. Many students approached her afterward, thanking her for her honesty and courage. She realized that while she couldn't change the past, she could use her story to prevent similar mistakes from happening. Over time, Rachel became a respected figure in the field of promoting equality awareness. She not only atoned for her mistakes but also discovered a new sense of purpose in her life. A year after the anniversary celebration, Amara faced a major decision. An international investor had expressed interest in partnering with her to expand the store model nationwide. It was a significant opportunity, but it also came with many challenges. Amara knew that expansion would require resources and careful planning to preserve the values she had built. She held a meeting with her team to discuss the proposal. "I want to hear your thoughts," she said. "This store isn't just mine. It's the result of all of us working together." Some employees were excited about the new opportunity, while others were concerned that expansion might dilute the store's identity. Amara listened to all their opinions and assured them that she was committed to maintaining the spirit and values of the store, regardless of its size. In the end, Amara decided to accept the offer, but with one condition. The new stores must adhere to the principles of diversity and inclusion she had implemented. The investor agreed, and a detailed plan was set in motion. Ge kai trong qua hang moi, Amara dung truok guang trong van fong. Chin lai cheek au vest don john and hung ton lich. Ko kim theamot chut boi hoi kai, gi vi han trin ma min de tre qua. Tu mot ko gai by dui koi qua hong. Ko de tro tan nuoi dung dao mot chui qua hong noi trang. Kong chi mang lai don Thursday, makanthe doi catch moi nuoi gi vi su hoa nap vaban dang. Kai byuk ra naguai. Ko duok chow don boi tieng vio te nong hiat tun and vien va kak hong. Rachel kung komat trong dam dong. No mot nu koi tu hao. Du han trin qua ho rat kok now. And hung geo day. Ho du hu rang su the doi la ju kan thiat de tau ramot the gi oi tot dep han. Amara cam micro. Cam on tat ca moi nuoi de dong han kung ko. Ka chuyen qua tua kong chi la vi kan and toi. Koan oi. Du la ka chuyen ve catch chung ta ko the thay doi kai chung. Ta don ket va tin tuong veo jia tri qua min. Qua hang moi and han chong tro tan bu tuong qua su doi moi trong gan loi trang. Amara teep tuc lan dao voi long hiat huyet va su tan tom. Kong chi voi tsong vik ma kan voi tsong dong. Ko beat rang han trin qua min van kandai. And hung ko sen song doi mat voi moi Thursday thatch. Boi vi ko hu rang moi byuk di qua min du ko wainia. Kai on den lap lan chiu sang bui kai trong. Amara mim koi. Cam nin sao sak nim han fuk va su man gwin. De kong chi la tan song qua rieng ko. Malatan song quatat ca and hung ai dung hova tin tuong veo ko. Va nu ve. Emotihan trin moi lai bat dao. Voi on sang hai vong lon toa cap moi noi.